Woo! Welcome! Yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's, guys. Five Nights at Freddy's. 10 years, over 10 years in the making. Oh my soul, and it's not showing that it's going to be stopping anytime soon. Credit where credit is due. 100%. Scott Cawthon, a game developer, just doing what a game developer does. Creating games. Created a game that ended up becoming something so much more and so much deeper. Hot damn, my man, I like creating my own lore-filled stories, but this is one that I am thankful that I don't have to think up. I just now have to think of ways to figure out what the hell is going on. And with that said, welcome to this series. It's going to be a multiple part series, going to be split up per game, and each game has a lot to go over. It starts off little, but it becomes so much more than I ever thought and would ever like to talk about. I already do not like my voice, but you guys are gonna need to bear with me on this one because I think that I might be onto something. Whoever theorist, Dorko, John, even Matt, bless Matt Pat his retirement. Game Theory, jump in on this one. You guys are the most popular channel on this theory, on this game series. And I want to hear all of you guys' opinions out there as well. So after listening to this video, please leave in the comments down below what you would like. I'm letting that off here in the beginning of the video. So let's jump into Five Nights at Freddy's 1. We start off playing as a security guard. It doesn't say much that, you just notice that you are in a security office and that you're looking after a pizzeria at night. The time shows that it is 12 o'clock, you need to survive until 6 o'clock. Not that bad, not that bad. Unless you start paying attention into the deeper things about the games, like the newspaper articles on the walls that start shifting, and the very disturbing ghostly image of an animatronic that you don't always see in the game. If you're very lucky to get him and you can survive him, nice on you. Get to that one back in a minute. So as we start off, each night we get a call from Phone Guy. Now, many of these characters are not officially named by Scott Cawthon, but do adapt to the name later on due to the fan community just not wanting to leave a character unnamed and wanting to refer to them back later on. Most of the things have been given names. So, Phone Guy, kind of being one of them. So, yeah, Phone Guy starts off with saying that welcome, you have to survive, not a big problem. But what got me strange, on night 1, I'm going to go through all the night's phone calls. On night 1, he says that if damage or death occurs, he can only report it after 90 days or after it was cleaned up. Now that is a very strange and sketchy thing to do, seeming that in all legal standpoints you probably want to have evidence on what the hell happened. You just don't want to leave it up to fate and yada yada yada. So it gave off the little vibe to me that maybe just maybe they're trying to hide something. And knowing the series by now doesn't really surprise me. So yeah, reporting it only after 90 days or after they have cleaned everything up sounds a little strange, because 1 month is 30 days. That is 3 months after an incident occurred. Oh, no wonder things went missing and unsolved for so long. Freddy's, you have a reputation back in the day, and now I think I might have a reason how, what, where, why. So, continuing with night 1, Phone Guy as well talks about the animatronics as if they are alive already. That was just a strange feeling I got, not that much significance in the whole lore aspect. Maybe, but it was very strange, saying that he would get irritated as well if he has to sing those same dance songs every single day over and over again, meaning that he knows that the animatronics are irritated or agitated or just cranky and groggy overall, so he knows something is going on there and that it is not normal for their mechanical programming to be that way. Now we have to consider that Five Nights at Freddy's is very futuristic for the time that it is taking place. It also says that the animatronics will see you as an endoskeleton and will try to stuff you into a suit. Now this is very strange because many people have come to realize that there is an endoskeleton that you can see during the night right in the supply room where the employees only are allowed. There is an endoskeleton found right there, but yet they do not do anything to it. So why would they come to you specifically? Very strange. Yeah. Ooh, my favorite, Bite of 87. He talks about that. No, he also mentions that how surprising it is that people can live without their frontal lobe. I'm not a medical scientist myself, but sounds possible. But not that big much of a lore, it's just the Bite of 87 takes place in the past, the way he speaks of it. So we already know that it happened. And this game now takes place after that. So it's giving us from the very start a timeline. Thank you, but it's not much to go on yet. So on night 2, he just mentions the usual game rules like checking the doors and that Freddy gets more active during the dark. So we just need to conserve our powers and ensure that there is nothing by our doors. So night 2 is not much, just game mechanic rules. In a in-world way, it's told. Night 3, it says that he's surprised that you lost it this long, because not most people last long. And now of course he plays it off as if they move on to other things, but I've heard a lot of psychological phrases and trying to conceal what they actually mean and trying to make up and not sound suspicious about anything. Yeah, this was one of those where the way he spoke, the way he said it, he was too quick to cover up what he was actually saying. He was trying to change the subject into a more friendlier standpoint to not scare you off, meaning that they do not actually move on to other things. They die. Who, not much surprising actually. And that when we get caught, we just play dead. Yeah, that's not much going to help. They're probably just going to treat us like an endoskeleton, like night 1 he said. And anyway, playing dead is a no-go. Lasting this long, very surprising. Wow. Night 4 though, this is where the lore of the game in general, if you're not paying attention to the deeper details in the game, like the visual details, this is where the audio gives you the first lore of the entire series. And I absolutely love this. And night 4, you hear the banging on a door. And the phone guy is talking about checking the back rooms because he's always curious on what would have been in those heads with masks. And again, bringing in a psychological reading into this, it sounds more as if he's just trying to play it off as, hey, this might just be where I will be found, because when you are scared and you know you have nothing else, you just give up and you try to have some detail for someone else to find your corpse. And this is what it feels like he's doing, telling us to check the back rooms. And after his little message, Freddy's music box starts to play. Yeah, this freaked me out when I was playing the game myself, and the whole reason why I just didn't continue playing, because hearing that in the phone guy's telephone, it freaked me out, because I already died to Freddy once. Very creepy. So, as Freddy's music box plays, you hear the moans. And now the moans that I think happened there could be playing into something else. But then he dies. You hear the jump scare effect. Not much surprising over there. In night 6, we hear these demonic voices, and it was... Ooh. There was a lot going on. I didn't know what much to do about that. It freaked me out. I dropped the call myself. I am not going to put you guys through that. But I have found a few channels that helped decode this little message in the demonic voices. Because I myself could make out when re-listening, building up the guts to re-listen to it again. I could figure out that there was something being said, but it just was a little bit inaudible for me, and I didn't want to do the research, so I give credit to the channel on screen, and I will read it to you. An Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda, and it reads as follows. It is lamentable that mass agricultural development is speeded by fuller use of your marvelous mechanisms. Would it not be easily possible to employ some of them in quick laboratory experiments to indicate the influence of various types of fertilizers on plant growth? You are right. Countless uses will be made by future generations. That is what I suspect that word to be. Seldom knows contemporaneous the joy of creative. I find this little detail in this night's demonic version of it, the phone call itself, to be somewhat intriguing. Of course, in the start of the entire series, it would not make sense on where it would and can be placed in the lore aspect of everything, but I think I have a theory on where this little snippet comes into play, because at this point there is a lot of evidence that Scott loves to use things of real life as an inspiration for the game itself, and where I think this becomes connected with the game's lore is when the Five Nights at Freddy's Fazbear Fright series comes in. But that would be discussed in a later video, as everything would be split up in its designated videos. This is about Five Nights at Freddy's 1 for now. But keep in mind this little phone call that got decrypted and its connection. So with that, I would move on to the newspaper clippings. The newspaper clippings are found to change during the gameplay, where you can watch it 1 minute and the next moment it will be something else. Now, intriguing as it is, it can also play in just to some schizophrenic sightings that you don't know, the place is haunted, stuff can happen. But what is interesting is that the newspaper clippings seem to be from the past, and what makes that very clear is that it speaks of 5 kids being missing, and their bodies have not been found. They said that someone used a mascot outfit, a yellow one specifically, to lure the kids away. What I found strange as well is that they mentioned in the paper is that the employees refuse to comment upon anything. Kinda strange why they chose to be silent or completely refuse to answer anything. And they as well said that they apprehended someone and convicted them. But it is strange because later on, if you know the entire series, the actual murderer ended up not being found, or the correct one in a sense, because yeah, we ended up facing him ourselves. The little spoiler to future videos. Wow. Fnaf, everyone. Fnaf. The other thing that was strange that you could find in the hallways is as well drawings, where the newspaper articles would disappear and you would find pictures on the walls. I'm not talking about just the Golden Freddy thing, but you would find what you would see in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, coming in a second video, you would find little cardboard cutouts of crying characters. Now, of course, in this time of the game, we didn't really know what to call it, but later on we come to call it the crying child cutouts. And it, creepy as it is, we didn't know what to do much about it. And I think it is here mainly because this is a continuation. This would kind of be like the second or the third or the fourth, but it's definitely not the first restaurant at this point. This is what this indicates, the whole newspaper clippings and the timeline events. Later on it does become clear what timeline this is actually taking place. That is made clear by Secret of the Mimic. Thank you, Scott Cawthon, for clearing that time up. I thought we're going to the future. Nope, we just did it. The whole time travel. Back to the game though. Five Nights at Freddy's 1. We see on the paycheck that the character that we play as is known as Mike Schmidt. And every single game we play as someone else. There's a different name given in each one. I think that is just an alias that is used because, well, using the right name could be something of a giveaway to the whole lore aspect. So I kind of like this thought of thinking that this is like a character he puts on, a fake name that he gives. And it becomes clear later on. Again, I'm going to say that a lot, guys, so please just stick with me. So that is what we get on the paycheck, is the name and as well as a date. And now this is American date. It is 11/13XX. And we all know they're on 13 months, so we clearly know this is an American date because no 13 months. So this is taking place in November the 13th. Interesting. But yeah, not that much important, the month and the day. But what is important is the year. It does not give us the year. Now, a lot of other people did the math on this, and I do give credit to my favorite one. It is from Game Theory, MatPat. Rest in peace. Rest in retirement. Yeah, peace. Basically, have a peaceful life, a peaceful retirement. But you're not dead. He's not dead. He's so freaking dead on this channel. Oh, sorry, people. Grief. He was my childhood, and I give credit to him to doing this math for me. He figured out that it took place in the 1993s. So it does correlate to that. Again, where Scott Cawthon uses real life inspiration, figuring out that being paid $120.50 in that time period does place perfectly on what is the legal minimum wage that you can work for. So yes, in 1991 to 1996 is the best, but as MatPat referred it to as the Chuck E. Cheese incident that happened in 1993, everybody just stuck with that date. And honestly, I don't have a problem with that. It kind of does fit in. So I myself am going to stick with 1993 as the date for the first game, Five Nights at Freddy's 1. With the paycheck out of the way, the newspapers out of the way, the phone guy out of the way, I want to go on to the pink slip. On the pink slip, you get dismissed, basically fired, because you were tampering with the animatronics. Now, I don't really know any night security guards that would like to stick their hands in a haunted animatronic suit when he knows and suffered already enough nights with them, unless he knows something that no one else does. Just giving you an idea that this guard probably knew something. And now, tampering with the animatronics, I know there was someone that said that no, he was just fired because he probably attacked an animatronic that was trying to attack him. This doesn't give me that vibe. This tells me that he was doing something deliberately and not by accident. If it happened by accident, you just paid a fine and you destroyed something or whatnot, but nah, that didn't happen. It doesn't speak, and the vibe isn't like that. He was tampering with it deliberately, and he got caught. He also talked about the general unprofessionalism. Ooh, me and my English. I don't know much what happened there. Don't know how to describe or explain that, but probably just an lucky guy. I don't know. But the thing that is the most important is, of course, the tampering with the animatronics, and the very last thing they mention, odor. Meaning that he got fired because he smelled. And now I know there are a lot of people that do smell, and it is a whole genetical problem. Speaking of experience. But this, it just, no. Being fired for odor. Having a job that pays enough that you can take a shower, at least. This doesn't feel like it was a necessary fire then. Unless it was something that truly could not be stopped and he was fired because there was no choice. But then it would also be just because, yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's is full of, yeah, they're full of it. But no. So tampering with animatronics, the odor, the phone guy's messages, the newspaper clippings, the paycheck, everything plays a big role in Five Nights at Freddy's 1. And I love it. I love how everything just was laid out there for you. Now that is the general visual parts of it, and one honorable mention that not a lot of people paid attention to at first, but it was later on noticed. The more and more you play a game, you start noticing small details like how you can boop Freddy's nose in the security office. Absolutely love that detail. I spent my first night booping that nose a lot. But no, I'm talking about the spider webs that are found in the security office. Now you would think about a place that actually does clean up after stuff, especially mentioning a report after 90 days, that they would actually try and stay clean. Clean enough that there wouldn't be cobwebs. But yet you find that in the security office. And now in the security office being a place that needs to be occupied constantly, it has to be cleaned. No, this just tells me that this place has been abandoned. This place has been run down, shut down, and it's now just needing someone to watch it so that nothing gets stolen or whatnot. My theory upon that would get a little bit deeper later on, but this is just the first details on what we get. The first vibes that we get about Five Nights at Freddy's 1. The phone guy, the cobwebs, newspapers, the paycheck, and the pink slip. All of these details are interesting. And believe me, I did not forget about Golden Freddy. Golden Freddy being an animatronic that is slumped over. He cannot stand, he cannot walk. He can teleport through walls. If you see him in your cameras, he will teleport to you in your office. Even if you do not see him on your cameras, he would just teleport to your office. And if you look at him for too long, he would crash your game. After giving you a jump scare, of course, because this wouldn't be Five Nights at Freddy's if the enemies didn't jump scare you before anything else. But what is strange is when Five Nights, when Freddy jump scares you, Golden Freddy specifically, there's a message that pops up on screen saying it's me. And now to me, and it kind of felt like they were a message to communicate, to tell you someone. It's like when you're wearing a mask, wearing a costume, and your friend can't recognize you. It's like, hey, Abby, it's me. This is what this is giving me. I think the message, it's me, could be either from Golden Freddy itself, Himself? I don't know, that theory will become deeper later on. Man, that's gonna get old. But this message, I do not think is actually coming from Golden Freddy himself. I think this message is coming from you as the player, Mike Schmidt. I think Mike Schmidt is the one saying, "It's me." And that gets explained a little bit deeper, a little later, because damn, this series is a whole back and forth and stick with me parts. This is my theory for Five Nights at Freddy's #1, the very first release. And now I know there's a lot more going deeper into this game, especially the series, about the very first 5 games, and I will get to that when the time comes. But this is the theory that I find that is important to mention from the start, that we should keep in mind for later on. And I thank you for sticking with me and my annoying voice. My throat is so dry. I need to stop talking because this is a continuous take, and I thank you guys for sticking with me on this. And I hope you guys check out part 2 and all the other parts that are coming out, because this is one long series. And I would appreciate it if you could leave any comment, any theories, any added information which you think is relevant to it, because this entire series, for 10 years, it has been changing and evolving due to interactions from everyone around the entire world. So everything and everyone, you are appreciated, and thank you. Until the next video.